Welcome back to another video. In this one, we're gonna be hopping in the boat with Tom Huynh. He's gonna share a bunch of tips for you. We actually shot this video last spring. So we're out on the lake, we're in central Minnesota, and Tom is actually gonna open this video up talking about location. Some of the places that you should be looking in the upcoming weeks when the season opens up, when you got ice out on some of your favorite lakes. Spring fishing, Tom is gonna share some locations to check early in the year.
See how the net guy goes this time?
Yeah, let's go.
Smaller fish that time, so it's a little easier for me.
Yeah. On here. Yeah. We're just out here the week after opener in Minnesota. And you know, a lot of these fish you see pretty skinny. We caught some bigger ones earlier, pretty skinny, but they're just coming off spawn, a little bit lethargic when that happens. They expel a lot of energy when they lay their eggs and stuff like that. So now they're just before that phase, before they really start to just start chomping. But what I'm looking for out here, or most Minnesota lakes, I'm going to these sand flats, because where they're recuperating is where they can find a little bit warmer temperature. Even if it's a half a degree warmer, they're going to be there. And that's why the sand at the bottom of these clear lakes, actually on the bottom, generate a lot more heat than the water above it. So it's just something to watch, keep in mind when you're going around from lake to lake, looking, or even your home lake. Look for those sand patches in that mid, you know, that 6 to 12, 14 feet of water. And a lot of times you're going to find your recuperating post spawners.
All right, next up, Tom explains how his method of fishing makes it so he can feel the bite and he can feel the fish, but the fish can't feel him.
Good one, Tom?
Feels like a decent one.
Looks nice.
Yeah.
You're on this side or the other side?
Hit that silver jig pretty hard. Like I said, it's nice with this tungsten. They pick it up and they don't know you're on the other side, because you can actually fish with a slack line now.
Real nice one.
See Jason in the boat all the time. Whoa! Best fish of the day.
Out too.
Yep. That's how we do it in Arkansas. You know, we catch the fish, the hook just comes right out.
Nice.
Perfect.
Get your jig out here.
Yeah, that's a nice Minnesota walleye, week after opener. After this post spawn, you know, they get a little bit lethargic for a while as they're recovering, so they're not near as active. Following the bait really slow to the bottom, and then coming down and picking up this tungsten. And you know, it's good to be able to fish now when you cast at a fish and you're actually fishing on a slack line, so that fish, when it picks it up, you can feel the reverberations of this hitting the roof of the mouth, the vibration up the fluorocarbon, through the braid, through the rod, down to your hand, and that fish has no idea you're on the other side. So you can actually literally give the fish 5 to 10 seconds sometimes to eat it now, and then you get a good hook set every single time.
Now, as you can see, Tom was using a tungsten jig. It's no secret that he loves those, but you also notice that he was using the new silver color. And new this year, Northland actually has a few different colors. I'll put them all up on the screen right now. You can check them out. But silver is one of those, and one of Tom's favorite out of these new different colors. So anyway, I'll pass it off to Tom for, of course, more fish catching action.
There you go. Pretty good one. Look at that. Something's been trying to eat them. Alright, gotta take a look at this again. Look where that hook went. That's absolute perfection. Right through the roof of the mouth. And again, with these tungsten jigs, I'll say it again, like it's so important to have this hardness of the tungsten, because I could feel that bite when it followed that bait down and it sucked that bait up. I was able to tell Nick, holding the camera here, like 5 seconds before I set the hook, because this thing sucked it in, the tungsten hit the roof of that mouth, and I was able to feel that he had it. So it's key to have tungsten whenever you're fishing, especially a lighter bite. But you can see how this thing just absolutely went through the bone in the top of that thing's mouth with the new chrome silver tungsten jig. And then now when that chrome gets down in the water and the fish follow it to the floor, whether it's mud, sand, rocks, that chrome a lot of times will reflect the things around it, make it less subtle, so the fish not just key in on the jig, it keys in on the bait. In this case it's a live leech, but if you have a plastic, the fish is more focused on what's on the backside, on the hook of that fish, than on the jig.
Next up, Tom is going to demonstrate exactly how he likes to work the bait to get more bites when he's chasing walleyes.
All right, you see this thing following it down there. There he goes. All right, so I got this jig on the bottom, and I'm just I really don't want to let this jig leave the bottom. I have more success, believe it or not, when the fish bites it. See, he bit it. So he bit that on a slack line. Okay, so that's actually what I want. That way that fish has no idea that I'm there. And plus I'm waiting for that. There it goes. It just made that thump where it sucked that tungsten right onto the top of that roof of that fish's mouth. So I know my hookup ratio and my success rate is going to be a lot more. So right now I can actually feel the teeth of this walleye. It feels scary, but I can feel it on my fluorocarbon line, playing it like a guitar string. But that's just how, like, for better hookup ratio, this is how I prefer to do it. So when it's down there, I just literally just tap it, vibrate that jig on the bottom. Okay, you saw my rod a little bit just vibrating, and that's just like so that jig does not leave it. He comes down there and picks it up and just sucks it right in.
Next up, Tom is going to share some of his thoughts and theories on live bait fishing for walleyes, specifically what he likes to use, how he likes to rig it up to catch more fish.
All right, so we're out here today, and a lot of times, no matter what, I always have live bait in the boat. You know, whether it's in a tournament, I prefer to use plastics a lot, but I always have live bait in the boat, and that's because sometimes those fish just get in a mood, and you want to just be able to put fish in the boat, whether they're big or small. And for a lot of us out there, we just want to go out and have a good time with families, and I'm going to explain to you guys my preference and how I know which sort of live bait to use in any given day. Now, a lot of it is traditional thinking, has us thinking minnows early season, get those spot tail shiners. But with the invent of forward facing sonar and getting to see these fish's reaction, whether it's spot tails, whether it's fatheads, you know, I'm not seeing much difference. And also, just to debunk some theories, you know, I've even threw on some leeches, which we're using some today with some pretty darn good success. But if I'm basically just have a few different options, don't just go out with one, have a couple different options so that throughout the day things can change. You know, it was a couple years ago out on Leech Lake, we literally experienced, the videos out there where we literally experienced the transition from leeches in the fall. They were just chomping them that morning, and then we were around so many fish we just couldn't get them to bite. We switched over to minnows, and then it was game on again. It was just crazy how we experienced that in that one day. But with the short shank, I like to pair that with a nose hooked leech, or I just go in, if it's a minnow, I put the tip of the hook right in the fish's mouth and right up between its eyes. Okay, I don't kill the minnow. I want that minnow to be flapping around there, because a lot of times I'm not snap jigging. I'll go to that if they're not biting, picking the bait up off the bottom, but I'll just sit there and vibrate this on the bottom in front of a fish's nose with a leech or a minnow just dangling here. And the reason for a short shank, I want the minimum amount of hardware here showing. The hardware meaning the hook. That's just my theory. I want it to be more finesse. I want the least amount of the jig showing, and that's the thought process behind also this chrome look, is because when this chrome look is down, this mirror looking finish is down on the bottom of the lake, it's reflecting a lot of the surroundings around it and basically keeping the fish's attention on that bait, whether it's live bait or plastic. Now, going back to live bait real quick, this new stand-up jig in chrome, when it's sitting on the bottom, it's reflecting everything. And when I'm going to use the standard length shank is when I'm using a night crawler. And a lot of times I'm going to be using a full night crawler, because that thing, when it's down, I'm going to push the head of that night crawler all the way over the bait keeper here, and then that crawler, when it's down there, this is going to be sitting on the bottom, and I'm barely going to be walking this along. So my line's going to be up here, but since the line's up here, that's literally just walking along the bottom, and that crawler tail is just up tickling that walleye's nose, enticing her to bite. So that's just my ways of rigging and my choice for baits. And just keep in mind, keep your options open. Bring a couple different varieties of live bait if you choose to use live bait, and always keep some eye candy plastics handy just in case they're in the mood for those.
Well, that's about all we got for you in this video. Special thanks to Tom for sharing a bunch of great information. I love having Tom on these videos because obviously the proof is in the pudding. He's dominated on the tournament side of things, and he's always willing to share a bunch of good information. So he's definitely an open book, which I really enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video and you learned something, make sure to hit that little red subscribe button down below, because we have a lot more awesome content coming in the future. And until then, we will see you in the next one.